looks like Mr. Bag from Courage the Cowardly Dog, just with long hair and a receding hairline without the hat. Like, I just don't understand, because the shades and all. And when he takes his glasses off, you're gonna be like, put them back on. Put the shades back on, please. I'm sorry. Like, hi everyone, my name is Jam. After I tell you this hot-ass mess of a love story, you're gonna want to do yourself a favor and listen to some of your favorite jams to cleanse your mind of this buffoonery. Today, I wanted to talk about a couple who I feel sadly bonded over sad circumstances and how taboo their relationship is, while also discussing how messy it got. It's so fast, by the way, all while being within the church. Within the church. But she points that out too, which was pretty funny. So we are introduced to Mike, who is 70, and Rachel, who is 37. Now, I know I mentioned that they met within the church, but you're actually never gonna believe like their positions and how they met, because you could just go to the same church and meet that way, but no. She was the organist and he was the vicar, which I did not know what that was, because I've only heard like someone who will preach to you is the pastor. But apparently for some Catholic denominations, a vicar is basically a stand-in priest. So he wasn't even like actual minister. He was apparently a stand-in minister, and they just fell in love. So they've been together 7 years, which would mean he was 63 and she was 30 when they met. Okay, so she's over 25, frontal lobe developed, grown woman, make her own decisions.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
The thing is, though, when she did move with him,
This can't be.
it was based off of unfortunate circumstances with how they described it, but it did turn out to be good for her because it could have been worse. However, she had 2 children before they met. And he previously was married and had 5 children who are all grown up at this point. So he just has a whole second family now. That's crazy. The way that they met is Rachel was the organist at the church that he was the vicar at. And she was married previously. She had 2 children in her previous marriage. At the time, they were 5 and 3. So very young. And she said that her marriage, when she described it, she said it was not very good at all. She said she felt disrespected. She said she was extremely unhappy. She was unloved. And she even questioned if her husband at the time even liked her.
My previous relationship was extremely unhappy. I felt disrespected. I didn't really feel loved. I wondered if my husband even liked me, because he found so many things to be at fault. And Mike, I loved Mike because he was the absolute exact opposite of my ex.
So, putting that into context, unfortunately, it kind of makes sense how she ended up with somebody like this. But also, when she describes what he looked like when they met, I was like, girl, really? But the way that she described her previous marriage, I'm assuming anything is better than that. Anything and everything. They went to the same church, and apparently she was ready to leave her marriage at the time. So she had stated that she was questioning if she should leave, and she finally decided, I need to leave. And she grabbed her 2 kids and she called the church. Well, she called Mike, who was the vicar at the time, and asked, like, does he know anyone who could take her and her children in temporarily, because she wanted to leave her marriage.
I'd been having problems with my marriage for years, basically. And there was this particular occasion I decided enough was enough. And I left. Well, I was going to leave, but I didn't quite know where to go or what to do. So I rang up Mike. And then Mike did a bit of phoning round, found some friends who would take me in.
Now, to be fair, I did not think that that was a red like flag, or I didn't think that was suspicious or even weird, because if you're the vicar of the church, which is the stand-in priest apparently, so you would be, it would make sense if you're the head currently to call, because like your church does help you. Well, your church should help you, and usually they do. So I didn't think that was that strange at first. Like, oh, okay, I see why she would call him, because he was the vicar at the time. However, even though he was able to find someone to temporarily like house them, she said that after she confided in him, they bonded over that. Like, somehow it sparked their relationship.
Rachel confided in Mike about her problems, and that's what sparked their relationship.
You bonded over confiding about your unhappy relationship? Girl. So I'm assuming that the relationship previously, the marriage, was like just that terrible that anything and everything was just better than this. However, I say that because she said, when she describes what he presents as, it's like, yeah, it was really rough for her. Because she stated that her first time, like when they first started dating,
Oh no, this can't be.
She said his clothes looked like they were out of like a trash bin or like a random bin, and that he was run down. His breath was stinky. 63, so I mean, I guess he's an old man that didn't take care of himself. At the time, he was 63. Stinky breath, stained teeth, and I'm just like, it had to be terrible previously, because
I've never seen shoes so badly worn down in my life. And his pants, some of his pants look like they were from the reject bin of a charity shop. They really were that bad. When we got together, his breath wasn't that great, and his teeth were kind of stained. And I said, how long has it been since you've been to a dentist? And it'd been like more than 20 years or something ridiculous. We were so funny because in his house he had toothpaste that was literally 5 years out of date.
You describe all that and you were running to him? It had to be bad. It had to be bad, because what do you mean? Stinky breath, stained teeth? His clothes look like they were out of a trash bin, basically, is how she described him.
Oh no, this can't be.
I'm so sorry. I feel bad for these couples, because these are love stories, and it really does not sound like it's their love story. I'll give them that, but it does not sound good at all. At all. So yeah, at the time they have she has 2 kids, and apparently her, who was 30 at the time, and this 63-year-old man started seeing each other. Now, she said that she left her husband and that she, I'm assuming, separated from him. They didn't get divorced at the time, though. But she started seeing this vicar.
What the hell is even that?
Their church was not having it. They were not having it. Their previous church, because they were not having it. The one that he was the vicar at, oh no. No. Because then they started seeing each other, and they have a 6-year-old. If you do that math, that means within a year, she had a baby with him. She said that she was still married to her previous husband. So these people show up to church. Oh my God. They show up to church together, 30, 63. She's pregnant now. which indicates they had sex before marriage. And on top of that, because they had sex before marriage, she's pregnant now. So, baby without wedlock. And then the last but final strike, she was still married to her previous husband.
What the hell is even that?
When she gave that rundown, I was like, girl, that is...
Fundamental Christians believe that sex should belong within marriage. So to turn up to a church, A, pregnant, B, not married to the father, C, still actually married to the previous bloke, doesn't really fit in with the sort of Christian principles that we were supposedly living to.
What did you say?
That is messy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's not good, girl. My goodness. So she said the previous people at their church was not happy, and she specified fundamentalist Christians were not happy from a previous church. And so you may be asking yourself, what exactly is a fundamentalist Christian? Because a lot of people will say like they're different denominations, or they'll just say like, I'm just a Christian, nothing else. But she specified fundamentalist Christian. So upon first looking up what a fundamentalist Christian was to see what the difference was, I looked up and according to Wikipedia, which I understand may not be very trustworthy to some people, it says fundamentalists are almost always described as upholding beliefs in biblical infallibility and biblical inerrancy. In keeping with traditional Christian doctrines concerning biblical interpretation, the role of Jesus in the Bible, and the role of the church in society. So, when I first saw the definition, I'm sure if you never knew what this meant before, based off the definition, you're like, what is infallibility and what is inerrancy? So, of course, when you look up inerrancy is on dictionary.com, it says lack of error, and it says infallibility. The other word, we have no idea what that means, or unless you do. And also for inerrancy, it says the belief that the Bible is free from error in matters of science as well as all those of faith. And then we have what is infallibility finally. It refers to unerring judgment, being absolutely correct in all matters, and having an immunity from being wrong in even the smallest matter. It can be applied within a specific domain, or it can be used as a more general adjective. So the Bible can never be wrong. So now we know what these words mean. However, then I was curious more so because the definition on Wikipedia, I'm like, how true is that? So I went to a website called Fundamentalism is characterized by a clear-cut doctrine of what adherents believe to be the fundamentals of Christian orthodoxy, a literalist approach to reading the Bible, and often by a unique view of history called dispensational premillennialism. Fundamentalists concentrated much of their energy on building institutions such as separatist churches and schools that would allow them to shun the corrupting influence of society and compete in forms of Christianity. These institutions also enabled fundamentalists to become effective political organizations for conservative moral reform, as was demonstrated by Jerry Falwell's Moral Majority in 1970. The more you know. However, the fact that she stated that the fundamentalist Christians did not like them, after figuring out like what is the difference with them, it makes sense because according to her and him, they were shunned out of their church.
Some in the congregation refused to accept the new couple and were shocked when Rachel became pregnant. The defiant couple left to find a new church, and their age gap love grew stronger. They've since married, and for them, the ups and downs of the past decade have proved their relationship is for real.
He was the vicar at the time, which, like I said, it is just like you're a stand-in priest, essentially, based off the definition. But he was shunned from the church with her because she turned up pregnant, out of wedlock, still married to the ex-husband. I was like, that was a messy year, I bet. That was a messy year. Are you okay? Are you okay? That's a lot. So now she has this 5-year-old, this 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Well, the baby on the way. That's a lot. So now, being that they were shunned from that church, they had, you're gone. And they had to find a new home. They were able to, though. And he even still, it seems, to preach. But when he was preaching, I'm like, you could tell he's 70. Because what are you talking about right now?
God has commanded, so God commanded them, and that's it saying, this is talking about the church that gave his life on that cross at Calvary.
Like, what he was saying, I'm like, I was just confused. What part of the service are we at? Because seems not very enlightening. However, they were able to find a new home, luckily. And then eventually they did get married, and he apparently was actually shocked that she married him. But when she described it, she was like, well, you're supposed to do all those things. You're supposed to get married, have children, out of order maybe, but you still did those things. And he made a comment that made me very uncomfortable, and that's why I specified when I first opened that it seems like they kind of bonded over it being taboo of some sort.
The vicar and the organist to run off together situation, so it was very controversial.
Because he says the vicar and the organist run off together. That's not how the story went, because, well, I guess you could describe it going like that, but according to them, y'all got bye-bye extracted. You were like claw machined out of there because of y'all's circumstances. They told y'all to go.
Relationship quickly set tongues wagging. Some in the congregation refused to accept the new couple.
So I wouldn't say you just ran off together, but maybe you could say that because you stayed together. So I'll give you that. So now their kids are higher age and they have another child at this point. So now she's 37, he's 70. So her two children are 12 and 10. Their children are 6 and 4. So we're introduced to one of Rachel's children before her marriage with him, with with Vicar Mike. I think he's a minister at the other church now, but we're able to hear what Jessica has to say, which is this child, who was Rachel's child before her marriage with him, how she feels. And it's actually kind of hilarious how she has more sense than her own mama. But that's why I said it is pretty sad, because it just seems like she just wanted to see, well, what's the lesser of the situations. And honestly, later on, when she's by herself later in the show, she describes that situation basically.
And Mike, I loved Mike because he was the absolute exact opposite of my ex. I wish I'd been with him a lot of years more than I have. It would have saved me a lot of pain.
And so when Jessica is asked, she's 12 by the way, she basically is not a fan of it at all. She said that she doesn't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't look right. 12. She said, because mom's fairly young, and the different language she uses is really funny. And she says, because mom's fairly young and Mike's pretty old.
Younger kids don't notice Mike and Rachel's age gap, but 12-year-old Jessica does.
Seeing them together, it just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't look right. Because mum's like fairly young and then Mike's pretty old. I think it's pretty weird, actually.
She's not wrong, though. I think it's pretty weird. And their 10-year-old, she makes faces sometimes when Mike talks.
She's 10. She's Kaylee.
I'm not gonna put the emotions on her, but to me, it seems like silly. It seems like she looks at him like, ugh. Maybe not. And I just have to preface, she said that Mike looked worse when they first got together because we're introduced to him. And I'm sorry, he looks like Mr. Bag from Courage the Cowardly Dog, just with long hair and a receding hairline without the hat. Like, I just don't understand, because the shades and all. And when he takes his glasses off, you're gonna be like, put them back on. Put the shades back on, please. I'm sorry, like, okay. I'm gonna just stop right there. Now we're introduced to how Mike, he's like, he wakes up every morning and looks in the mirror and he does not understand why Rachel is with him. And Rachel may be thinking that too at the time, due to a comment she says. Understand? And he even says that it must be like a divine intervention. That was so funny. And I kind of understand, because it's like,
The thing is, I get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and get a shock, thinking that's not me, is it? And I'm thinking that sort of like the possibility that Rachel could like me looking like this, and there wasn't a chance of it. So there's got to be something else.
like when he takes off them glasses, whew, like, whew, goodness, put them back on. So I see why he would say that. And it's like, oh, she is sweet. But it just seems like her situation was worse, so being with the old man didn't seem that bad, I guess. Just, they got children. But good for her getting out of that situation, though. However, the fact that when I see him now, she says that he used to be worse, it's actually pretty crazy, because when they're in the salon and he's getting his hair done, he mentions how he used to live the bachelor life for 20 years because he used to have a family, and then they got a divorce. So he had 5 kids previously, and then they got a divorce for some reason, and he lived 20 years. Now, I don't necessarily know what the bachelor lifestyle is, but I'm assuming it's like raggedy, stinky, unhygienic, unkempt, nasty, maybe not for everyone, but she said that his clothes looked dirty, raggedy. He looked like he got them from a clothes bin that didn't be washed. He has stinky breath, like, just, so what does bachelor mean? I don't know, but that's what his definition is. But now, since they've been together, he has lost some weight. His teeth are a little bit whiter. She didn't say if his breath doesn't stink anymore. So maybe it does, just a little bit less. But now it's like cut to her apparently going to nursing school. And she has to go to nursing school because she needs to get a job to make money. Because apparently he is a stay-at-home dad due to being retired.
Having a full-time house husband,
Mark will be fine on his own. My oldest 2 are going to their dad, so he's only got the younger 2 for the weekend anyway. They said that they would miss me, but so I'll give them a ring later, just make sure they're okay and remind Mark about one or two things, like Natasha's swimming lesson on Saturday morning, but I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine.
Now, originally upon hearing this, I was like, okay, so let me recall my judgment, because I'm like, ugh, like, why is this old grandpa with this young woman? Yada, yada, yada. And him being a stay-at-home dad, I'm like, okay, so at least he'll be present with his children. One of the scenes in the train, because she had left to go do some things with her sister, she said that she was gonna call Mike to remind him to take their daughter to her swimming lessons. So I don't know how present he may be, and I'm pretty sure it's due to age, but it's like, the father of the children is taking care of the children, and you have to remind him of activities he has to take them to. It's got to be the age, because he's pretty elderly. So she said that, and at first I was like, oh, he's retired. Okay, so at first I was like, dang, that pension must be hidden, because he retired, they just chilling. But actually it's the opposite. She states that they need the income, which I'm assuming is due to like him being retired now, so he has no income, I guess, due to his age, and she has to now be the breadwinner, I'm assuming. And so she's going to nursing school. And at first I was like, oh, that's so smart to become a nurse, until I found out that due to needing the money like extremely fast, she can't even necessarily find an ideal hospital or situation or job opportunity, because they need the money now, because they have 4 children. He does not have income, or maybe not enough, because he's retired now, and so she has to like get going.
Mike is retired, so it's up to Rachel to become the main breadwinner.
As soon as I finish training, I need to work. Yeah, to a certain extent there is pressure on me, because I need to get that income back. So I do feel a little bit of pressure in the sense that I don't feel like I've got time to sort of hang about and look for an ideal job. I'm just going to apply for any and every job I think I can possibly do.
And then it made me incredibly sad, because it's like, not only do you have to be the breadwinner, you have to remind him of stuff because his elderly age. So it's like, yeah, he helping take care of the kids, but you're still taking care of him. So it's like you're taking care of 5 people while also working. Girl, you got all the strength in the world, because what? She hasn't started working yet. So it's not like terrible. And maybe as the years go by, he'll become a better, more active, because he just seems, like he moves at a slow pace. But the fact she had to remind him, I'm like... And I wanted to actually talk about, like, do you guys believe that having kids later in age keeps you young? Because what does that mean necessarily? Does that mean like a feeling in your heart, maybe? Because he's like, a lot of these couples in this show that I wanted to talk about from Age Gap Love, and Mike and Rachel are from there, it's like they have a hard time doing things. They're doing the best that they can, but they're still having a hard time. So I don't understand it, because sometimes like they can't even play with their kids, and so their kids just run in circles around them, because like they're really elderly, actually, because this man is 70 and they end up having 2 kids together, and this man is 70. It is nice because she gets to have time to herself, since he can stay there with their kids. However, another thing I mentioned is like her 2 kids from her first marriage, they were dropped off with their dad, so he is still also in their life, but she still had to help him for the younger 2. That's crazy. Being that she's in nursing school and she was getting her test results back, they didn't seem too hot. If you're in her area, be careful of her if she's your nurse. Maybe she'll like retake it, but some of her test scores were like barely passing, or maybe I just read them incorrectly.
They set off. Student nurse Rachel checks her email.
Got my results back from my exam.
Have you? Oh wow, go on. What you got?
I'm not happy. I've got a 67, which I know it sounds alright, but look, that one's 48 out of 80%, and that's 19 out of 20, so...
You've still done well. I think you've done well there. Right, pleased with you. Oh, congratulations, darling. You've done really well. Pleased with you. Yeah.
I could just write them incorrectly, but it seemed like a 67 does not seem that good. But maybe I'm not reading it right with my mind. And I don't know nursing
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though.
nursing grading systems. And it could vary country to country too, region to region, because this show, I'm pretty sure it's UK based. The United Kingdom based. So I'm pretty sure it could just be that much of a difference when it comes to that, because I'm like, a 67 is good. Watch out for her being your nurse, girl. But I guess not, I don't know. So she then is like trying to study more because she has to, become the breadwinner. She has to start training soon. So she's under a lot of pressure, like a whole bunch of pressure. And the fact that like this started off as her being in a messed up situation to now needing to take care of this person, it's like, that sucks. But it does not seem like she is at all regretful, luckily. So her first marriage must have been pretty terrible. But it is pretty hilarious still how like her oldest daughter is like, that's weird. That's pretty odd. I don't know. Something's not right here. He stated that sometimes he feels like it's a dream because he didn't realize or ever imagine that he would ever have a second family again or have another family. Well, he didn't say that, but that's basically what he said, a second family. Because he said he didn't realize with his age, he didn't think he would have such young kids. And it's like, I mean, me neither, to be honest. Me neither. I don't know. I didn't think so either. But apparently I'm wrong. So I hope that she was able to get her nursing job though. Because I'm pretty sure she retook the test. And she was starting training too. So she can get a job as soon as possible. And their segment ends with them going camping with their children. And Mike, he talking about wanting to live to 120.
Rachel and 70-year-old Mike are sure they have a happy future.
I'm 70 now, Rachel's 37. There's a big age gap, but I'm ready on being around for a few more years yet, another 20, 30 years. I'm going to be one of these that get to 120.
120? I mean, he got the enthusiasm, so I'll give him that, but 120? Yeah, 120. So it seems like they were in a good marriage. I hate to say that. It seems like they were in a mutual marriage where it was, they got things and were able to like this, because it's like, I don't even know if I'm saying good due to when sometimes she doesn't even look at him when he's talking. And I can't tell if it's one of those situations where you're just like dozing off and it's like, oh, okay. Or while they're talking, or if it's quite literally someone trying to avoid staring at the person because like, or something. But I just could not believe how messy that was within a church, Catholic church.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Now, I can't believe the show Age Gap Love is even a thing, or was a thing, 'cause this was 2014. Because the stories that they show are so alarming, because what do you mean she confided in you and that bonded you guys? That sparked a relationship? That dynamic is strange. But they seem to make it work. They have 2 children. Their kids well fed. They're walking around all jolly and stuff like that. The oldest 2 side eye him a lot. Or they just laugh, I guess you could say. But some of them are not having it at all. And I kind of felt like Mike a little bit had like a savior complex, where the idea of like saving her from her bad marriage and then impregnating her while she's in that bad marriage. Whew. And she even points out how messy it is and how it doesn't really seem like they're living by these so-called Christian values.
The church, A, pregnant, B, not married to the father, C, still actually married to the previous bloke, doesn't really fit in with the sort of Christian principles that we were supposedly living to.
It's like, I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing, especially because he's like the head of the church at the time. But thank you so much for watching. That was Mike and Rachel and their crazy love story. And maybe go blow some bubbles to de-stress or something after hearing that messiness within a church. That's what's like the most mind-boggling thing to me. Within church. Bible. Like, a lot of times people within church be Bible thumping. But that's why she separated fundamentalists versus I guess non-fundamentalist Christians. And they got shunned. So maybe shame. And what's weird is like shame does not work apparently, because they just found another home to do that buffoonery there. But that's why I say I struggle with it kind of, because she says her first marriage cost her so much pain. I'm really glad that she was able to get out of it. And it's just her next option was like, ugh, dang. Thank you so much for watching, and also thank you for my new subscribers to have joined and leaving comments. That was so sweet. If you liked anything that I said, or if you've seen this show before, if you have any opinions about it, comment down below and let me know. I do plan on doing more of them. There are multiple different dynamics within these types of relationships. And I'm thinking of doing one next where the woman is older and the man is younger, because they have a mixture of both of them. It's not just older dudes with younger women. Let me know, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!